While the Christian world celebrates New Year's Day on January 1st, Ethiopia rings in its new year on September 11th. This isn't a random choice or a simple calendar error. It is the result of a profound confluence of ancient astronomy, sacred scripture, and divine narrative that has been preserved for millennia. From the computational genius of medieval scholars to the blessing of a saint, from the legend of a queen to the very rhythm of the Ethiopian soil. This is the untold story of Enkutatash. Why does Ethiopia stand alone in this timing? And what secrets does its calendar hold? But before continuing, please subscribe to my channel. It is a big deal to me, but a matter of a single click to you. The enigma of the September New Year begins not with an edict, but with esoteric calculation. The Ethiopian calendar is a unique and precise solar system, its mechanics governed by ancient scholarly texts that have been meticulously preserved for centuries. The most crucial of these is the Bahre Hasab, a title that translates poetically to the Sea of Calculation. This is not a single book, but an entire genre of Ethiopian computistic literature, dense, complex manuals filled with astronomical tables and formulae used for calculating movable feasts, lunar cycles, and the exact dates of the liturgical year. These texts are the hidden engine, the spiritual CPU of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church's liturgical life. But the source of this computational genius is even more ancient, tracing back to the legendary scholars of Alexandria. The core structure of the Ethiopian calendar, 12 months of 30 days plus a 13th month, is inherited from the ancient Alexandrian calendar, one of the most accurate in the ancient world. This system was preserved and perfected by the Coptic Church. In the 13th century, a Coptic scholar named Abushakir compiled this ancient knowledge into a definitive Arabic manual called Abushakir, the Compendium on the Calculation of the Stars. This text didn't invent a new system. It became the authoritative codification of the existing rules. When Abushakir was translated into Ge'ez, it became the most important reference work for Ethiopian scholars, the foundational source text upon which the entire Bahre Hasab genre would heavily rely for centuries. The shared source code is why the Ethiopian and Coptic calendars are siblings, both born from Alexandrian astronomy. The genius of this system lies in its structure. The Ethiopian calendar comprises 12 months of exactly 30 days each. However, a solar year is roughly 365.24 days long. To reconcile this, the calendar incorporates a unique feature, a 13th month. This month, called Pagum, consists of 5 days, or 6 in a leap year. This period is not merely a temporal adjustment. It is traditionally a time of introspection, completion, and spiritual preparation for the renewal that the new year brings, acting as a bridge between the old and the new. Recently, the IMF has dictated the removal of Pagum from the Ethiopian calendar for financial calculation purpose. Can IMF dictate a 3,000-year-old deep-rooted culture and Bible-based calendar of a country for the sake of just its computational convenience or debt provision? How do the West think of culture and religion of a poor country? There is the Ethiopian saying, wealthy persons think as if they have created the poor people, which matches to the IMF claim. The role of the Bahre Hasab scholar, therefore, was and is one of immense importance. These individuals were not mere scribes. They were astronomers, theologians, and mathematicians who could interpret the heavens and the sacred texts to determine the precise timing of God's holy days. Their work ensured the continuity of sacred time, making the calendar a living, breathing entity that guided the spiritual rhythm of an entire nation, generation after generation. Thus, the date of September 11th is not arbitrary. It is the final product of centuries of accumulated wisdom, a date calculated to perfection by combining Alexandrian astronomical precision with Ethiopian scholarly devotion. This computational bedrock is the first and most crucial reason why Ethiopia's new year stands apart, a testament to a civilization that revered the harmony between divine order and human intellect. Watch the video till the end. The next part will astonish you. The mathematical calculations of the Bahre Hasab find their profound theological justification in a text the Western world largely removed from its Bible, the Book of Jubilees. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, possessing the largest and most ancient biblical canon, has always revered Jubilees as divinely inspired scripture. This book is far more than a historical account. It is presented as a divine revelation to Moses on Mount Sinai, providing a sacred blueprint for understanding time, creation, and God's covenant. It establishes a theological framework where calendar and worship are inextricably linked. At the heart of this blueprint is the prescription of an ideal 364-day solar calendar, meticulously divided into 4 perfect quarters of 91 days each, exactly 13 weeks. This number was not arbitrary, but was seen as a divinely ordained, pure system. Its primary purpose was to ensure that religious festivals, Sabbaths, and holy days would always fall on the same day of the week every year, creating a perfect, unbroken cycle of worship. This calendar stood in stark contrast to lunisolar systems, representing God's perfect and unchanging order, untouched by the perceived chaos of lunar variations. However, a practical challenge emerged. A 364-day year is shorter than the true tropical solar year, 365.24 days. The living tradition of the Ethiopian calendar, therefore, had to reconcile this ideal with reality. It did so through a brilliant and pragmatic solution inherited from the Alexandrian tradition: 12 months of 30 days each, plus a 13th month of 5 days, or 6 in a leap year. This short month, called Pagum, serves as a time of spiritual reflection, completion, and purification before the New Year's dawn. Thus, the spirit of the calendar, its sacred solar order, is from Jubilees, while the practical mechanics perfect it for real-world use. The theological impact of Jubilees extends beyond mere chronology. It presents a cosmology of sacred time, where the calendar is an active participant in the covenant between God and His people. By observing this specific calendar, the faithful align themselves with the divine order established at creation. This transforms the Ethiopian New Year from a simple annual event into an act of cosmic realignment, a recommitment to living within God's perfect temporal design, as revealed to the patriarchs and prophets. Therefore, the Book of Jubilees provides the why behind the how of the Bahre Hasab calculations. It answers the question of why this specific date matters, investing September 11th with a significance that transcends astronomy. It is not just the first day of the month of Mescharim. It is the annual renewal of a covenant, a recommitment to a divine rhythm that has been echoing since the dawn of creation. This sacred context is the second pillar supporting Ethiopia's unique celebration. But before continuing, please subscribe to my channel. It is a big deal to me, but a matter of a single click to you. The date of Mescharim 1, calculated by science and sanctified by Jubilees, is crowned with a profound Christian identity. The Ethiopian Church designates New Year's Day as Kidus Yohannes, the feast of the Nativity of St. John the Baptist. This nomenclature is not honorary. It is a precise theological claim rooted in the gospel narrative. The story, detailed in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, begins with the angel Gabriel appearing to the elderly priest Zechariah to announce the miraculous conception and birth of John, who would become the forerunner. The narrative then provides the crucial chronological key. 6 months later, the same angel, Gabriel, is sent by God to the town of Nazareth to announce the birth of Jesus to the Virgin Mary. The angel even confirms the timeline by stating, "Even Elizabeth, your relative, is going to have a child in her old age, and she who is said to be unable to conceive is in her 6th month." This explicit statement establishes the immutable 6-month age difference between John the Baptist and Jesus Christ, tethering their life stories together in sacred time. The Ethiopian Church, following ancient Christian traditions, uses this biblical timeline for its liturgical calculation. The Annunciation to Mary, and by extension, the conception of Christ, is celebrated on Maghabit 29, which aligns with April 5th on the Gregorian calendar. Therefore, working backwards, the conception of John the Baptist must have occurred 6 months earlier. Following the natural course of pregnancy, 9 months from that date leads to the nativity of John the Baptist around Mescharim, the Ethiopian New Year's month. This is not speculative. It is a precise application of scriptural chronology to the calendar. Naming the new year after St. John is thus profoundly theologically significant. John is the forerunner, Pacharin, the voice crying in the wilderness who prepares the way for the Messiah. His birth heralds the dawn of a new era of salvation, which will be fulfilled with the birth of Christ 6 months later, celebrated on Tahises 29/January 7th. Therefore, the new year symbolizes not just a temporal transition, but a theological one, the arrival of the one who announces the coming of the light of the world. Enkutatash becomes a festival of hope and divine promise, the first note of the gospel story. Consequently, the Ethiopian New Year is elevated from a cultural or astronomical event to a high holy day. It is the celebration of the nativity of the greatest prophet, the bridge between the Old and New Testaments. The joyous festivities of Enkutatash are imbued with this deeper layer of meaning. As people exchange gifts and blessings, they are also celebrating the beginning of the end of darkness and the imminent arrival of the world's salvation. Kidus Yohannes is the third and most sacred pillar upon which September 11th is chosen. Watch the video till the end. The next part will astonish you. The very name of the holiday, Enkutatash, meaning the gift of jewels, instantly connects the celebration to Ethiopia's deep and legendary Solomonic heritage. This folklore springs from the story of the Queen of Sheba, Makeda. As the revered narrative in the Kabra Nagast tells, upon her return from her famed visit to King Solomon in Jerusalem, her joyous courtiers and subjects welcomed her back to Ethiopia not only with celebration, but by replenishing her royal treasury with enku, jewels, making up for the wealth she had expended on her journey. Thus, the new year symbolizes a renewal of national prosperity, generosity, and divine favor, echoing a golden age of imperial glory. The celebrations commence on New Year's Eve. Families gather for special meal, which signifies pooling or collecting, a term that evokes the gathering of waters, but also the collective gathering of people and spirit. While its primary association is with the eve of Timkat, Epiphany, the term is also used for the eve of Enkutatash, symbolizing the collecting or completion of the old year. On this evening, families gather for a special meal, a sacred tradition that strengthens familial bonds and expresses gratitude for the blessings of the concluding year. The meal, often featuring the national dish of Doro Wat, spicy chicken stew, and injera, sourdough flatbread, is an act of communion and shared thanksgiving. A quintessential and beloved element of Enkutatash is the singing of Adey Abeba. At dawn on New Year's Day, young girls, dressed in new, beautiful traditional dresses, weave through their neighborhoods. They carry small, colorful paintings and bundles of fresh green grass, a direct and powerful symbol of the fertile, rain-fed earth and the renewal of life. They go door to door singing songs of good fortune, blessings, and joyful prophecies for the new year. This practice is not mere caroling. It is a ritual of community blessing. In return for their songs and blessings, the children receive gifts, typically money, bread, or sometimes a handful of the freshly harvested grain. This exchange of gifts is a powerful act of reciprocity that cements community bonds. It ensures that every household, regardless of wealth, participates in the prosperity of the season. The giving of bread, in particular, echoes Melchizedek's offering to Abraham and symbolizes the hope that no one will go hungry in the year to come. It transforms the entire community into an extended family, sharing in the collective hope and abundance of the new year. The afternoon of Enkutatash is often spent visiting friends and family, continuing the festivities. People wear their best traditional clothes, often brilliant white, symbolizing purity and a fresh start. The air is filled with the sound of laughter, music, and the heartfelt greeting, Nkwan Adreseko. May you be blessed with a new year. This cultural tapestry, woven from imperial legend, communal feasting, children's songs, and gift-giving, forms the fourth pillar. It grounds the theological and computational reasons for the holiday in the warm, lived experience of the people. But before continuing, please subscribe to my channel. It is a big deal to me, but a matter of a single click to you. The timing of Enkutatash is a masterstroke of natural harmony. perfectly aligned with Ethiopia's distinct climatic rhythm. The holiday arrives precisely at the end of the heavy rainy season, Kremt, which drenches the Ethiopian highlands from June to early September. These months are characterized by overcast skies, daily downpours, and a landscape often shrouded in mist and mud. By early September, this pattern breaks. The incessant rains cease, the heavy, gray cloud cover fractures, and the sun reasserts itself with a gentle but triumphant intensity. This dramatic transformation is both visual and visceral. The entire country is reborn into the season of the transition to the dry known as Adey. The highlands, now nourished by months of rain, explode in a brilliant green. Most iconic is the blanket of bright yellow Adey Abeba flowers that carpet the hillsides around Addis Ababa. The air, washed clean by the rains, is crisp, clear, and filled with a sense of hope and anticipation. This is not a subtle change. It is a radical environmental shift that makes the new year a celebration of the senses, a festival of sunshine after the long storm. The agricultural significance of this timing is profound and fundamental. The Kremt rains are the lifeline of Ethiopian agriculture, ensuring a blooming of staple crops like teff, barley, wheat, peas, sunflower, and beans. Enkutatash, therefore, strategically coincides with the completion of the rain. It is a natural time of plenty and thanksgiving for the blooming harvest. The holiday is, in its essence, a harvest blooming festival, a moment to express gratitude to God for his provision through the abundance of the earth. Simultaneously, Enkutatash also marks the hopeful anticipation of the harvesting season that the sunny, dry days of Adey will allow. The renewed sun dries the land, making it ready for the harvest and winnowing. Thus, the new year sits at the perfect pivot point in the agricultural cycle. It is a double-edged celebration, giving thanks for the stopping of the rain and start of communication between different villages dissected during the rainy season due to the swelling of rivers. People visit each other because the rivers subsided and mud stopped, crossing to other villages possible. There is the Ethiopian poetic proverb, "When September comes and Adey Abeba blooms, let alone his relatives, people visit strangers." It embodies both gratitude and hope, rooted in the very soil of the country. Therefore, the climate does not merely provide a pleasant backdrop for the holiday. It is an integral, active part of its meaning. The celebration is grounded in the earth itself. The joy of Enkutatash is the joy of sunshine after rain, of green after mud, of bloom after sowing. It is a divine sign of renewal and God's faithful provision, written into the very seasons. This perfect alignment with the environment is the fifth and final pillar, proving that this date is not just mathematically and theologically sound, but naturally ordained. It is where heaven's calendar meets Earth's rhythm. But before continuing, please subscribe to my channel. It is a big deal to me, but a matter of a single click to you. The Ethiopian New Year is not a simple calendar anomaly. It is a profound masterpiece of interwoven disciplines. It is where the precise, mathematical calculations of the Bahre Hasab, themselves inherited from the ancient Alexandrian wisdom preserved in the Abushakir, meet the divine ideal of the Book of Jubilees. This fusion of sacred astronomy and rigorous computation created a calendar that is both spiritually significant and astronomically sound. The system is a testament to a scholarly tradition that sought to harmonize divine revelation with human understanding of the cosmos. This precise astronomy is not cold and impersonal. It is sanctified and given profound meaning through narrative. The date, Mescharim 1, is transformed into Kidus Yohannes, the feast of St. John the Baptist. This liturgical calculation anchors the turning of the year directly in the gospel story of Luke 1, making the new year a celebration of the forerunner who heralded the dawn of salvation. The calendar becomes a liturgical map, guiding the faithful through sacred history itself. This sacred history spills out from the churches and is joyfully lived out in the rich tapestry of Ethiopian culture. The legend of the Queen of Sheba's return and the gift of jewels, Enkutatash, connects the celebration to Ethiopia's imperial and Solomonic heritage, a story of national identity and divine favor. The communal rituals, the singing of Bahre Hasab, the sharing of meals, the exchange of gifts, transform theological concepts into tangible acts of community, generosity, and shared joy, ensuring the faith is passed down through generations. Ultimately, all these elements, computation, theology, and culture, are mirrored perfectly in the very rhythm of the Ethiopian land itself. Enkutatash is perfectly timed with the end of the rainy season, Kremt, and the beginning of the sunshine, Bega. It is a celebration of the sun's victory over the rain, the earth's yielding of its harvest, and the hopeful anticipation of a new planting season. The climate does not merely provide a backdrop for the holiday. It is an integral part of its meaning, a divine sign of renewal and God's faithful provision. Therefore, Enkutatash is a unique and powerful tapestry. It is a testament to a civilization that for over a millennium has harmoniously woven its faith with its identity, its scholarship with its scripture, and its celebration with its soil. When Ethiopia celebrates on September 11th, it isn't just marking a new year on a different calendar. It is celebrating a universe in perfect balance, a divine order where heaven, history, and earth converge to proclaim a message of hope, renewal, and God's eternal covenant with his people. The story of Enkutatash is more than a history lesson. It is an invitation to see time not as a mere mechanical tick, but as a sacred rhythm woven by God. It challenges us to look deeper into our own traditions and to appreciate the profound depths of others. So the next time you mark a new beginning, remember the ancient calculators, the forerunner's cry, the queen's jewels, and the sun after the storm. Remember Ethiopia and its timeless dance with eternity.